decided to boycott.
And good evening. Welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and tonight I'm delighted to welcome back my good friend and yours, John Russell. So, John, welcome back.
All right, Marty, thanks for having me here tonight.
We've got a lot to talk about. John has been spearheading a petition drive regarding the City of New London's city-side budget. You've gone through one budget petition, and the city kind of took a slap in the face attitude toward it, and you're going back with round two. So why don't you kind of give us an overview of what's going on?
Well, the city passed its city-side budget on the 20th of May, and we went out almost immediately and began collecting. We were very unhappy with it because the average property tax increases for people in New London were between 15 all the way up to 60%. So we thought that was quite onerous. I understand that the reassessment this year, for some reason, devalued commercial properties and overvalued, in some estimations, the residential properties. So basically the weight of the operations for the city is on the taxpayers now. So a lot of people didn't like that, so we decided to see what we could do. So we went out, a number of people, and got signatures. Our charter allows that. We're allowed to petition any action of the council as long as we can come up with 10% certified signatures of the last municipal election. So in this case, we needed to get 282 signatures to have a valid petition. Then we turned those in to the city clerk. He validated them and turned it over to the city, to the mayor and to the council. They kicked it around quite a bit. The charter says that they're supposed to immediately deal with it, but they didn't. The meeting they should have dealt with it, they kicked it down, then they decided they kicked it around, just didn't do anything with it. Then they decided to postpone the July 2nd meeting of the city council.
First meeting of the month.
The first meeting of the month. No one knows why. Just decided to do it. So it didn't get handled until July 15th. So now we're talking from May 20th to July 15th.
In essence, a month.
Yeah, yeah, a month and a couple weeks. So when they did that, the city reduced our budget by $50,000. All right. What they did is they delayed hiring a new deputy police chief by 3 months. So we felt that was a slap in the face. They did not take any kind of deep dive into the budget to see what they could save. You know, they just said, this is a nuisance, in my opinion. This is a nuisance, and we're just going to knock off $50,000 and go about our merry way. Well,
with a vacant position.
Yes. So we decided to go back out again. And we're in the middle of that right now, of collecting those signatures. Marty has one right in front of him. They can be signed any number of places. You can come to my store, Homeward Bound Treasures, at 35 Golden Street, 9 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday, and sign one if you want. If you want, you can get a hold of me, and I will come to your house, as others may also, to get these signatures that we need. We're about halfway there, and we have until next Tuesday to turn them in. So we'll see what happens then, but you know, I was thinking, you know, instead of just complaining, I was thinking of ways to help the taxpayer and not hurt the city. So I started thinking, I said, what can we do? I said, well, I don't know how many of you know this, but almost all the new buildings that have gone up lately in town have all been apartment buildings. All built in what's called either an enterprise or an opportunity zone, to where the developer gets automatic tax breaks. His taxes are phased in over 10 years. So let's say with the dock, they were one of the first ones built. They might be in their second year, so they're paying 20% of their tax. Whereas the beam is in their first year, they're paying 10%. The abomination, I call it, downtown, that steel building, I don't know how the hell that ever got there, but they haven't even started paying taxes yet because the tax does
They haven't
not.
got a CO yet.
That's right. They don't have a certificate of occupancy yet, so they're not paying any tax. But they will be. So that's an amount of money. The taxes from those three properties is an amount of money they know that they will have to get next year, an increase in the amount of money. So if they took a look at the city's rainy day fund, right, took some of that money, put it into the budget, all right, in 2 years they could pay with the extra taxes without hurting the citizens. They could put that back into the rainy day fund. Yeah, and wouldn't hurt anybody, all right? So that's just one idea I was able to come up with, just John Q. Citizen.
Listen, in today's news, I mean, the mayor's bragging that the city's getting $1.5 million in revenue from state pier. Where, with the wind.
Oh.
So why aren't we getting any benefit from that?
Well, as far as I know, the last I know, at one time we were supposed to get some money and then we got cut out. So I'm not even clear as to.
I'm just saying what the mayor's bragging about. I'm not saying it's legit. I'm just telling you what he's bragging about.
Well, I rode by that today, and I'm saying to myself, look at all that state property. So we're getting pretty much bupkis from it, and certainly that's a problem. I look around, and I don't know where you want to take this, Marty, but I look around at the things that our council has been doing for a number of years that I consider unethical. I've been chirping about this for a while. In our charter, it says that an action of the council should be read 3 times in council chambers. And when you and I served together, we did. The only time we would not use the 3 readings if it was something like
An emergency.
Yeah, if an emergency came up, a boiler went in the middle school, which we had happen, or if somebody gave the beautification committee $50, we had to make an action on that to receive it, and that didn't need to have 3 readings, things like that. But the city council, I'll give you for instance, 4 years ago, they passed $30 million to build the rec center. They did it 1 reading. They just waived the other readings. Now, it's not illegal. The reason I say it's unethical is because what that's meant to do is to give the people a chance to find out what's going on.
And comment on it.
Research it, and then develop an opinion and get it back to the people that are supposed to serve them. Well, that hasn't happened for years. For years, they've been just waving these things through. Now, about a week after that happened, if you remember, Marty, they waived the 3 readings on the ordinance. It was kind of an ordinance to defund the police. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we went out again, and we brought it all the way to referendum, and they lost. So they had to back off on that. Right? I mean, think about it, Marty. When we served together,
So a dozen years ago, it's hard to believe.
we had 95 police.
That's correct.
We got 60 some now, and we can't get them. We're always out there recruiting, but you can't get anybody to be a policeman today for a lot of reasons. But the truth is, we can't get anybody. So, you look around and you see these things. The charter also says,
Well, listen, we've got a council and an administration that's hostile to the police. Why would folks want to come to New London to work when your leadership doesn't like cops?
and that's very strange, but that's very true in the city. We have a council, in my opinion, that's made up of 6 social justice warriors and 1 regular guy. All right, and having 1 or 2 social justice warriors, that's okay, but there's no talk. I mean, it's like they don't know the questions to ask. They don't know the questions they don't know. And it drives me crazy, because I sit there and I look at the things they do, and I can get down in the weeds, but recently something that kind of got in my craw was that they took money from a pothole fund to give these people $32,800 to paint a flag in the middle of Eugene O'Neill Drive at the intersection of Golden Street. And I'm like, why would they? I mean, you could paint the flag. I don't have a problem with the flag. But why are we giving them money? The week before that, another group painted a memorial at the intersection of Green and Golden for this fellow, Chris Nelson, who had committed suicide years ago. And they did it all on their own. They didn't bother a soul about it. But this...
No permits, no nothing.
I don't know. So I just look at how the city has been since I've been on council, and it's, I don't know, it's just gotten where I don't believe it's reflection of the community any longer. The vast number of people in the community. And, I get really aggravated. And, my aggravation's coming out with doing this. I've been doggedly out getting signatures, firing people.
Who else is circulating? I mean, I've got a petition, and I know Gina Phillips is petitioning. I think John Martin. Who else do you know that has got petitions? And if folks that are watching, if they know any of them or know us, and they'd like to reach out, any or all of us would go to them if they're unable to reach us.
I believe Rob Pirro is out getting some signatures. I believe Reed Burdick, who is a Democrat, is out getting signatures. There's a woman named Joyce Meehan that I don't really know very well, but she just grabbed a bunch of them and, goes down to the beach and gets signatures. I don't know, there's a few others that have been out, but I can't remember exactly right now who, but we're doing pretty well with the numbers. People are not declining to sign. A lot of people are, what do you got? Oh yeah, I want to sign that. We don't know how successful we're going to be. I have spoke with an attorney about the article in yesterday's paper where the mayor said they, can't remember if he said they will not or they may not, big difference in words there, consider the second petition, where he said you only get one bite of the apples.
That's a crock, because if you only get one bite, it's an invitation for the council to always ignore it.
Well, the thing is,
there's no recourse.
The way I read the charter.
I mean, what arrogance!
Yes, the way I read the charter, it's an action. They're separate actions. The action they made on 520 is a separate action that they made on 715. They are separate actions.
Yep.
They are not the same action. So it's essentially we're not getting one bite of the apple. We got one bite of that apple. Now we got another apple over here.
Yep.
And that's what we're saying. I mean, the people were pretty upset that it was obvious that the council or the mayor or the administration did not look deeply into what could have been cut. If they had given us a fair number, or at least we felt attempted to come with the people's will, then we would have not been out again. But they didn't. They didn't. They just said,
Screw you.
slap in the face, thumb of the nose. And I had a laugh when the mayor said, oh, this smacks of politics to me. And I'm going, what? It's all politics. What are you talking about? But, you know, I really, one thing I could really ask the people is think about it when you go to the polls. Think about who is serving you. Now, in this city, we have 16 elected officials. They happen to be, at this time, all politicians, all Democrats. We don't have any minority representation. We're one of two teams in Connecticut, two towns in Connecticut that do not have minority representation. And, you know, so basically this council has been a rubber stamp for the mayor for the last 9 years. And he loves it. Who wouldn't, you know? Because, you know, most people don't realize, but when we changed to the strong mayoral form of government, the mayor's got the power now, and the only thing, pretty much, the council holds are the purse strings. So he brings a project to them. They tell him yes or no, I'll let you spend the money on it. They don't realize that it really does, there's politics does not come into it, but an understanding of what you're looking at.
But there's no discussion.
Well,
There's no debate.
And there's no people that can understand. I watched this group that wants to build 500 units at Fort Trumbull. All right, I watched them do a dog and pony show, and you could tell their eyes were glazed over. They had no idea what they were looking at. I mean, so you need somebody that had a lot of background in building. I worked with drawings for years, you know. We used to have lawyers, we used to have finance guys, we used to have businessmen as our leaders, and we don't have that now. Like I said, social justice warriors. So they don't have the background or the understanding of what they're doing. And that, you can tell I'm mad as heck, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
I hear you.
I mean,
I've heard that you're going to be able to extend your conversation tomorrow morning on Lee Elsie's program.
That's right. There will be at 6:30 a.m., and God bless you if you're up that early. We will be John Martin, who is our New London Republican Town Chairman, and myself will be on with Lee Elsie on 94.9 Full Power Radio. Yeah, so that'll be pretty cool.
So the two of you guys will be able to, get a little bit wider audience than we're getting here tonight.
Yeah, well, you know, pretty much it's an extension of what I just said. What I'm hoping to do is to get people to understand how they're being underserved, shall we say, and how it doesn't even matter if they want to fight. You know, I mean.
Now, it's interesting. I stopped by a gentleman yesterday who had signed the original petition, and he declined to sign this because he was disappointed that you're only petitioning the general government budget. You're not petitioning the school budget, which he thinks ought to have been petitioned as well. I don't know if you care to comment on that.
Well, there was a vote taken, and like any other thing in a democracy, many of us wanted to go out after the entire budget, but the vote broke down to only the city side budget. If we had to do it again, I would have pushed even harder for the educational budget, because if you look at our true numbers and not what, there's an old adage about figures don't lie, but liars figure.
Yeah.
what the true numbers are of how our school system is doing is pretty woeful. And then you look at the breakdown of how much money we spend per child, it's higher than most other communities, and we're not. And so
And
we need to.
we're still trolling at the bottom of the state of Connecticut. I mean, the injection of funds since we've gone to the magnet school program is not translated into better academic achievement and performance.
Well, when that came up, I remember.
And we were on council at that time.
When I came up, I had arguments with a couple of the other councilmen who wanted that 95% reimbursement, which is what we got. But it came with a string, like anything with the state does. We had to get 25% of our kids in from out of town. And I was saying, no, you don't want these kids from the suburbs to come in from the inner city. You want the inner city kids to go out to the suburbs to get something, to find out what it's really like elsewhere. And so the city right now, and we could be in for a huge shortfall here coming up because we're not getting the numbers that we need to get the money.
We're not meeting the benchmarks.
You know, exactly, the benchmarks. We're not meeting the benchmarks, and it's going to be really, I mean, big numbers, millions of dollars that we're going to get stuck with if, one, the state doesn't change that, and two, we don't start getting kids in. Because, you know, I look at it this way, if a parent of an 8-year-old in East Lyme, right, who has one of the better school systems in Connecticut, takes a look at New London and is thinking about sending their child there for one of the art schools or one of our other
pathways,
they're going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm already in one of the best school systems in the state. So I kind of felt all along that they would not get the people that they needed. All right? But I didn't win that argument. And so here we are a few years later, and potentially in big trouble.
Yeah, but one thing that the schools, as well as the general government, has done, from where I sit anyway, has been extraordinarily irresponsible and frivolous with COVID funds.
Marty, you're absolutely right. Why do you, with one-time funds, why do you hire people? That was mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling. You put it
That's
in.
one way to pump up a budget.
Jeez. You know, it would take somebody with a PhD in mathematics to sit down with the New London's education side budget and try to figure it out. We did it once back when I was with the Lower Our Taxes group. We had a CPA. He couldn't make heads or tails of it because it's like hiding, moving, you know, sliding.
It's a shell game.
And exactly, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. So I don't even know how they do. But
well, I hope that we can encourage folks to get proactive and get involved. And one way to do it is through this petition drive, and not asking a lot. It's just an opportunity to have the council review the budget and try to make some prudent evaluations, hopefully, and have the capacity to cut back so that the burden on the homeowners in particular, their tax burden is significant. You know, we're coming off a reevaluation, and this is something too. Jeff Suntup has been all over this, where you've got the Board of Tax Assessment
appeals. Yeah.
Where they're supposed to have a 3-person board evaluating folks that come in with complaints and want a review, and they were doing it the entire time with 2. And you served on that board, and the mayor, being vindictive, cut you loose, and they were operating with 2, which is improper. I mean, I don't know if if all of those could be thrown out because they didn't adhere to procedure, but it's a show of arrogance of the city government that we don't give a hoot what you think or what you do. We're doing it our way, and you guys can all go pound sand.
Well, it's kind of funny. Marty, you're right. I was the chairman of the Board of Assessment Appeals until 1 week before the hearings. Then I got a email from the mayor thanking me for my service. And I wrote back, kind of messing with him a little bit. I said, well, thank you. I really enjoy doing it. I'll see you next week. Because nowhere in the letter did he say. So he wrote back again, and he said, well, no, you're off the board. And I wrote back and asked him why. No reply to that. But through the grapevine, and I have a number of people who, let's say, chirp in my ear, people who have access. So it was that I had put a comment on an article in the paper that was not exactly agreeing with something the mayor wanted to do. And so he let me go. Well, they had to appoint someone, so they did. Some gentleman from out of town. I didn't know. I still don't know him. And as it turned out, the third member of the Board of Assessment Appeals had broke her leg, and could not. The sessions were going to be long because there was 157 hearings, and the sessions were going to be 8-hour days, and she couldn't do that. Plus, they put it up to the third floor of the anteroom, council chambers, and City Hall, and she couldn't do it. She wasn't able to make any of them. So they started out with 2, and that's all they ever had. Some people, as I'm finding out, only had one person hearing their case. You just can't make up that arrogance. I mean, it would have been so simple for them to just call me back and say, look, just serve one more time. I would have done it, but they didn't want me.
Well, the mayor didn't want you.
Well, the mayor didn't want me. Yeah. So, I don't understand. I've been doing this. I served. Well, I'm only on 3 boards now, 3 city boards, and
you're on the Water and Water Pollution Control,
Stormwater Authority, and Veterans Advisory Board. And I love it. I love the work I do with that. And it's all free. It's all pro bono. You don't get paid for that. There was a small stipend for the Board of Assessment Appeals, I guess because of the hours involved, but I didn't even know that when I took the position because it wasn't about that for me. But yeah, when we served, you served a number of years on council. That's all. They give you a little tiny stipend, I think.
Well, since the recent councils have been padding their stipends along with the mayor's salary.
Well, that's another funny story, but we won't get into that now. But when you've been around, you have some stories. You've been around a lot longer than me. You even got more stories. But come out, sign a petition. Let's keep putting the fight to them and letting them know that we're out here, and that there's people that care about the people in the city. As has been evidence that this council and mayor doesn't really care that much, unless it's what he wants to hear, and this isn't what he wants to hear at this time.
Yeah.
You want to go on to
one other, John and I are involved in a number of things, and we've served on council together, and as a counselor, I often served as liaison to the Water and Water Pollution Control Authority, so I've got a working knowledge of what was the efforts on that board. Barry Weiner's been chairing that for an extended period of time, and continues to, I might add. But we also serve together on the New London Kiwanis Club, which is a service organization that I've been doing this now over 35 years, and John, you must be pushing 20, 25 years.
Yeah,
I think.
I am. Yep.
And it's a wonderful, wonderful organization that we provide a hands-on service as well as financial assistance to a variety of organizations in our community and region and beyond, actually. And we think that it's a terrific group of folks that are working together for a common good, and from all walks of life. And that's one of the things that's kind of neat. And the folks that you end up, I found, these folks end up becoming some of your best pals, best buds. And,
Yeah. Well, you figure, Kiwanis is what, 115, 120 years now?
Well, it was formed in 1915 in Detroit.
Yeah, so almost 110.
And our club was formed in 1940, so we're
Yeah.
60 over 84 years now.
Yeah. And what I really liked about it, I got introduced around 2004, and it was for the kids. Everything we do is for the children. And my first exposure to Kiwanis was reading at daycare centers to 3 to 5 year olds.
Can't get much better than
You
that.
talk about incredible fun. These kids were just wonderful.
It's funny, you speak of that, and stopping in Ace Hardware today was Rusty Balestrini.
Wow, his wife owned the daycares, yeah.
Yep.
So, we also, one of the things, in fact, we just had so we give scholarships, college scholarships every year to 3 local deserving students, not just in New London.
It's all of Eastern Connecticut.
And the whole region of Eastern Connecticut. And so we vet them when we give them their check, and they bring their mothers and fathers and anybody else in their family. And it's just wonderful to see these bright young people and what they're going to be doing with themselves. And we also provide services to, like, someone getting an Eagle Scout, trying to get their Eagle Scout, and they need money for their, we've sponsored baseball teams, softball teams, everything, all
We
over
work
the
with
city.
the Salvation Army, and we do the reading program. We have got key clubs, which are for high school kids that are to instill in them community service. I mean, the key in Key Club is a Kiwanis Educating Youth.
Yeah.
And the kids are in a structure like the Parent Club, which is Kiwanis, to develop leadership skills and fellowship and camaraderie and community service to their community and their schools. And it's a wonderful program. And again, like I said, we work with the Salvation Army, and we've got our annual golf tournament coming up.
Oh yeah, that's right.
In September, there we go, up on September 20th at Shenecasset over in Groton. And this is our primary fundraiser for the year, where we're able to support our charitable giving each year and build the endowment which supports our scholarships. And it's the golf tournament. If you're a golfer and you'd like to participate, we'd love to have you. You can contact John or Ted Nelson, myself, or any member of the club. Would be delighted to have you. We need sponsors. We need raffle prizes. We need volunteers on game day. So there's a way to contribute and give back to make this thing a success. And we've been netting the last few years in excess of $25,000, and there is no administrative overhead. We pay our expenses for golf and things of that nature, but nobody's getting paid. It's all put on by volunteers. So the money's all going back into the community. And I think that's important because, so many charities these days, I mean, they've got a administrative expense. You don't know how much of that dollar you're given is going to the people you think it's going to. We can sit here today and tell you that all your dough is reaching the children and the people and those who are in need in our community. And I think that's special.
You know, volunteering is a wonderful thing. I've kind of dedicated myself to it over the years. But for anybody listening, this group, we get more out of the small group that we have than, you know, a lot of volunteer groups or so-called groups, you end up in kind of a coffee klatch or drinking club or whatnot. We have fun, but we get things done. And if you're interested at all, see Marty or I, and we can show you a way that you'll be very happy with donating your time and your energies.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about the Kiwanis Club, and also if you're someone tied in with a 501c3 or whatever, you can go online, newlondonkiwanis.org, and there's right on the line there's
A grant application.
there's a grant application, and you can fill that out, and you can ask for your Boy Scout troop or Girl Scout troop or pretty much anything for some dough, and we're more than likely going to give it to you.
Yeah. I mean, we have a board of directors with our club, and they meet monthly and evaluate the applications as they come in. So it's, and I would say we're pretty generous for the most part, evaluating the applications, and the scholarship program is completely separate, I might add. That is, we've got an endowment that was. The financing was fueled by the widow of Blake King many years ago. It's a true story. When I first joined the club, I mean, our scholarship, we weren't giving away $3,000 scholarships. You know, we'd be lucky to give, you know, a couple $100, and we would be scratching our backside each year wondering where the money was coming from. But we had a pancake breakfast, and we held it at Waterford High School on a Saturday. And it happened to be the same day that Pappy's Day was going on. And it ran right by Waterford High. So if you wanted to go, you couldn't even cut through there with all the motorcycles. I mean, they were running through there on Route 156, I guess it was. And I think all in all, we netted, you know, we'd been lucky if we netted $10. But we had made a decision that we were going to dedicate that fundraiser to the scholarship fund in the name of Blake King. And Blake King was a longtime member of the club. He ran a construction firm in the area. I didn't know Blake personally, but all the old timers when I joined the club spoke reverentially of him. And in 1966, I believe it was, he served as New England District Governor. And he and I are the only two folks in our club who have made it to that level within the organization. And Dr. Joe Wool was a driver behind making that happen. So for those folks who may have remembered Dr. Wool, he was a member of our group. Matter of fact, the gentleman who sponsored me into Kiwanis, Ted Hargrove, who worked at Mitchell College, he just passed away within the last few days, 92 years old, up in Sanford, Maine. But my point is that after we had this event, and we, like I say, we didn't exactly raise a boatload of dough, but Blake King's widow was so impressed that she made a huge donation to the club to establish an endowment in her husband's name, which we do. We call it the Blake King Scholarship. And that's why. And that kicked the thing off where it gave our scholarship some stability and something to build on, which we've been doing every year since.
And we've been good stewards of that money, because when I joined, we were only doing $200 scholarships.
Yeah.
And that's 20 years now, $3,000 scholarships. And it's just great. This really helps these kids out. I mean, school today is so crazy.
Yeah. Now this year, I think we had roughly 37 applicants. So we had 3 winners. 3 kids were awarded scholarships. So it's highly competitive. And the basis of the selection is obviously academic performance, but need and your extracurricular activities and community service. And those are the things that the scholarship committee, and we've got 5 members of the club who evaluate these scholarships. And so, you know, and we have applications that are hand delivered, I might add, to New London High, Waterford, East Lyme, Old Lyme High School, Montville, St. Bernard's, Fitch, Ledyard, the Marine and Science High School over in Groton, and Norwich Tech, and Grasso Tech. And so the applications are in those schools, but they're also available on our Facebook page and our club website. So actually anybody can apply, and they're easily accessible. This year we've done our awards, but for those who might have kids who are coming through next year or the year after, I mean, this is something you ought to put in your memory bank.
Yeah, we give, like I was saying earlier, we do these little fetes of these kids and give them their scholarship, make a big deal out of it, and it's just feels really good to do these things.
Yeah, and our club meets twice a month. We meet the first and third Thursday each month for lunch, and our current meeting place is Philomena's on Route 1 in Waterford, Mike Basetto's place. And they've been treating us very nice. And our next scheduled meeting is August 1st, and we will be having our annual Service Person of the Month program. And that's always a special program where we're recognizing somebody, an enlisted person in the military, usually it's Coast Guard, at one of our club meetings. And this is something that is sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce of Southeastern Connecticut. The Navy League used to be involved, but I think that it's just now been co-opted by the Chamber, and each month they rotate this with different service organizations, Rotary and Lions, in the region. But we've been having August as our month for a number of years now. And again, we're getting these young folks and what they do, serving our country, as well as what they're giving back to the community. I mean, it gives you a good feeling that things aren't as bad as the news presents to us on a nightly basis. It's kind of like with the scholarships. I mean, you've got some, you know, good young people that are doing good things, and
it's always impressive.
That the future is not as bleak as we see sometimes on the nightly news, on whatever channel you opt to watch.
I got a thing today on Facebook that said, "Turn off the news, listen to music."
That's not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea, for sure.
And then 2 weeks later, I've lined up for a speaker at the club is Tony D'Angelo, who's a
Oh yeah, I hear him on Lee Elsey all the time.
He's a weekly guest on Lee every Tuesday morning from 7 to 7:30. So we've got him coming in to speak to us, and he ought to be a live wire. He's very astute and active on primarily state issues. He watches the governor's office like a hawk. So I'm looking forward to his commentary on that. And again, this is one of the benefits of membership, is you get a chance to learn about your community and beyond with the speakers that we bring in. And it's fun. And we've also got a trip planned to Block Island in August. We'll have a number of us will be taking the evening cruise for a Thursday night dinner on Block Island. And that's kind of fun. So it's not all work. We do play and we socialize and we enjoy each other, and it's good stuff. The International Convention was held recently over the 4th of July weekend. This year it was in Denver, Colorado. So I'd been out to Denver on a Kiwanis convention. It was probably about 25 years ago, but it was that was a good time.
The Mile High City.
Yep. So I mean, it's like anything, you know. You got to give a little bit to get a little bit. You can't expect to just show up and everything's going to be handed to you. You got to be willing to step up to the plate and contribute too.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, Marty. I've really enjoyed Kiwanis over the years.
You know, so for those folks, if you're looking for something positive to do with a good bunch of men and women, look us up. Again, if you know anybody who's a member, I mean, obviously John and I are, Ted Nelson, Pam Stevens, Priscilla Peabody, Judy Kirish, Brian Dowdy, just to name a few.
All over the spectrum.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah. Callie Chavalino.
Yeah. Oh, Kelly. Yeah, she's great.
So we've got good members, good crew. And we're looking forward to the golf tournament.
Yeah, that's, like I said, September 20th. And if you have, you know, if you say you have a business or you want to donate, like Marty had said, a raffle item, anything like that, you can come out and help us the day of, help us register people, anything. You know, come check us out. You'll like it. You'll like the group. You'll like what we do for the kids. It really is. It's great. So.
And I'll give a little plug too for Lee Elsey. Lee has been promoting the tournament every day on his radio program, and I really appreciate what he does for us. And he's been very kind over many years. I've been a guest on his program, usually once every 4 or 5 weeks or so. Thursday mornings early. And that's okay because I'm an early riser, but it gives me an opportunity to kind of chat like we are today about the city, about the Kiwanis Club, what we're doing, and kind of give an overview of what's going on, and I appreciate that. And so he's been very kind in that regard. So I hope that you guys you and John have a good program tomorrow morning. I'll be tuning in.
You're going to get up that early?
Well, I'm up that early anyway, John. I can't say that I'm always ready to go at 6:30, but I'm always up by that time.
Goodness gracious. I can't remember the last time I've seen that time. I was just wondering, Marty, would be all right to put a little plug in for something else besides...
Absolutely. I know you're involved with the military affairs, so have at it.
So another one of the boards I serve in, I came up here 54 years ago as a young Navy man and been here pretty much ever since. And the city has a Veterans Advisory Committee that I also serve on. And we do a big event once a year at Ocean Beach called Military Appreciation Day, where the beach, Dave Shagru, graciously allows us, all military personnel, serving and former serving people and their families are allowed free entry into the park. Incredible day. And what we do is we come in and we set up a whole lot of booths so that veterans, because it's really interesting, many veterans do not know what their full benefit package is. So we set up all these booths to educate them as to what is available to them. Now, I didn't use my veterans benefits entirely when I got out. I did use some to go to college, but I never used my medical benefits until, I've been out of the military 50 years. So maybe 25 years ago, I started using the benefits. But there's so many other ones that people don't know that are available.
I've had K. Robert Lewis in where you're sitting, and he's with the American Legion. He certainly is an expert on in the area.
He is a veteran service officer, among other things. K. Robert will be there. His organization will be having a booth down there. we'll probably have 25 booths for you to pick up information on, for you to come, go down to the beach with your kids, jump in the water, enjoy yourself for the day. We're going to be having a small ceremony where we give certain people medals. There's going to be a race, a 5K race with all the summer swabs.
Are is it a race or do they run down from the academy?
Well, I believe the Coast Guard swab I think that they have to let the commandant win. I think he's got to come into the park first. But on top of that, they have a real race. You know, I'm not saying that the other one isn't real. I'm not saying that's true, but if I was a swab and there was a captain or an admiral there, I think I'd let him go first. But you know, the other race is a real race. We have it timed. We have it, you know, the whole thing. But it's fun to see all these people coming in, and it's just a lovely day. Patriotic music, things like that, and learn a lot. So, anybody has any questions, they can contact me, contact my store. I can get to you through there, and I can give you more information on that.
Well, that sounds terrific. I know I've been down there a couple of times when you've had that event, and I think it's important to show support for those who have served.
Yeah, there's another thing I want to tell you. I think I got 1 minute left. We also, the way we raise money to operate that Veterans Advisory Committee is we're not giving we don't take any money from the city budgets at all. And but we do this, we sell bricks. And the bricks are put in at Veterans Park there on Williams, right across from the Dunkin' Donuts. And you can put your veteran's name on these bricks. It's pretty inexpensive. It's like $50, I think. And you know, I got one for my mother, my father, my brother. We're all vets, and you know, it's kind of really neat to walk by there and see, you know, that. So
That's terrific.
yeah, and that's, like I say, how we raise money to support ourselves and the work that we do.
Very good. Well, John, our time has kind of exhausted here. You know, when we have fun, the hour goes by quick. And I want to thank you for carving out some time to be on City Focus tonight.
Thank you, Martin.
And folks, I appreciate you watching tonight. And if you're interested, the program is also going to be posted up on YouTube. So you can follow City Focus on YouTube. And encourage others to tune in and see what's going on. So with that, we'll say a good night, and we'll see you again next week on City Focus.